Hello everyone, you're watching VM24.com channel, and today we will be taking apart Honor 200 Lite. First of all, as usual, we need to remove the card tray. To do this, we use a SIM eject tool. Insert it into the hole and push the tray out, and set it aside. Next, we need to heat the surface of the back cover to approximately 70 degrees Celsius or 160 degrees Fahrenheit. We are using a heating mat for this, but you can also use a hair dryer. And after about 10 minutes, we move on to separating or removing the back cover. For this, we use a thin plastic film. Insert it into the gap between the back cover and the mid frame and carefully run it along the edge, cutting through the adhesive. As always, be careful around the cameras, so you don't accidentally touch or damage the lenses. You also need to be careful around the side buttons and the fingerprint sensor, since they may be physically located there, or their flex cables may run through that area. Now carefully open the back cover and pay attention to where the fingerprint sensor flex cable is located, which I mentioned earlier. Next, it is best to cover the camera lenses. For this, we use a protective film. Please note that we apply the film not directly on the lenses, but on the rim around them. After that, we need to remove the screws in the upper section. For this, we use a 1.5mm Phillips screwdriver or a Phillips #3O. It is best to place the screws on a dedicated surface in a specific order, since screws don't always go back well into the wrong holes. If the screws are stuck, you can additionally use tweezers or a magnetizer. As we can see, one screw is still left. By the way, it is different, it is smaller. After that, we move on to removing the upper cover. It is better to use a non-metal tool here to avoid accidentally shorting anything on the motherboard. So we carefully try to detach the cover. It doesn't come off because it is held by a clip on the one side. Just to be sure, check if there are any screws left anywhere, gently wiggle it, don't rush and don't try to force the cover open. Try to determine where the clip is, or if there might still be a screw. At that point, carefully pry it up, if it is a clip, of course, and remove the cover with the contact pads and antenna traces. Next, using a non-metal tool, disconnect the battery connector and move on to the lower section. In the lower section, we also need to remove the screws. These screws are also difficult to take out, so it is better to use tweezers to carefully remove them. And of course, it is best to keep these screws separate from the previous ones. After that, we need to remove the cover with the speaker. Carefully pry it up in the correct spot, lift it, remove it, and set the speaker aside. Then disconnect the interconnect flex cable, as well as the connectors of the two coaxial cables. Free the cables themselves from the clips that secure them to the subboard and move them aside. We also need to remove one screw that secures the subboard. This screw is clearly different from the others, so it is best to keep it separate. Next, carefully pry up and remove the subboard. On the subboard we have the charging port, microphone and other components on the reverse side. And in the display frame, the vibration motor remains. For now, our usual quick test of the microphone opening. The microphone opening has an L-shaped design and is located in the display frame, the microphone itself is located on the back side of the subboard. If we insert something into the microphone opening, we won't be able to damage the microphone this way. Now we move on to the motherboard. Let's see what we need to disconnect first. And we disconnect the cameras by carefully prying them up. Remove them and set them aside. The cameras may be adhered to the shields on the motherboard or to the display frame, so detach them carefully. After that, we can disconnect the fingerprint sensor connector, the display flex connector and the interconnect flex cable. We also need to disconnect the two connectors of the coaxial cables. Don't forget to disconnect the front camera as well. It is also better to peel off the heat dissipating film. It will be useful during reassembly. Carefully peel it off, and it is best to cover the camera lens so that no debris or dust gets on it. We also need to remove one screw that secures the motherboard. It is also different from the others. Okay, remove the motherboard and set it aside. And finally, we just need to remove the battery. As is typical for Honor devices, there are 3 brown pull tabs, labeled 1, 2 and 3. As usual, we need to fold tabs 1 and 2 as far to the sides as possible, while trying not to tear or damage them, since they tear very easily. The middle tab, labeled 3, should be carefully pulled upward. So we pull upward and try to detach the battery. Carefully check that nothing is in the way. Try again, pull the tab and remove the battery. Under the battery there is a transparent adhesive protective layer that protects the interconnect flex cables. And that is it, the disassembly is complete. Thank you for watching and we will see you in our next videos, either on our Telegram channel or on our website.